Well, besides memorizing jokes, being funny is not usually something you can learn.
But it's being taught at the U of M, and the teacher is one of Minnesota's favorite down-home humorists. Carol Evans' Phil Johnston shows you what happens when Garrison Keillor leaves the prairie and enters the classroom.
The University of Minnesota Physics Building.
1/4 times pi times epsilon 0.
Not necessarily known as a bastion for comedic thought. But every Tuesday afternoon in room 170,
Gleaners are just endlessly funny somehow.
you will find a master of comedy discussing the formula for funny.
Comedy is about logic.
English Writing 3110, The Composition of Comedy, the brainchild of U alum Garrison Keillor, who teaches the class every week with fellow Minnesota writer Shannon Olson. It is an immensely popular class, as is evidenced by the mere presence of junior Sean McGrath.
Yeah, it's one of the only classes I attend on a frequent basis.
This week's assignment:
God is sort of like Barbara Streisand.
satirizing Holy Scripture, and leave it to Garrison Keillor to provide this insight into a student's version of Psalm 1, as applies to Taco Bell.
Were you thinking when you wrote this that you were going to get into the realm of flatulence, and then you kind of pulled back?
But Keillor actually takes his humor very seriously, arguing good comedy writing is much harder to find than good poetry, for instance. His assertion that academia tends to ignore comedy is the reason he's teaching this class.
I believe totally that comedy is a pure art form.
The same reason Sean McGrath is taking it, and he appears to be learning something. Keillor chose him to read his spoof of Buddhism's eightfold path of getting into the restaurant Spago.
Right livelihood. Facial tics and nasal snorting represents drugs. Drugs represent money. Do not hide this asset.
There's a saying that those who can't do teach. Rest assured that doesn't apply to English Writing 3110. Now, the idea for this class came from Garrison Keillor, and when the U asked him how much he wanted to be paid for it, he said nothing. He refused any salary, which actually fits in very nicely with the governor's budget for the U. Paul and Diane.
Thank you,
Exactly.
Bill.
All right.